Welcome, beautiful people, to Petrify the Patriarchy. I'm your guide, Joe B. If you're ready to unearth the subtle ways patriarchal culture has shaped your world and uncover the hidden power within your own shadow, you're in the right place. Here we don't just speak truth to power, we wield it, turning stagnant energies to stone so that your authentic, liberated self can truly flourish. Let the unlearning begin. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Petrify the Patriarchy. I have taken a bit of a break, not because I wanted to, but because I have had more weird and strange illnesses this summer. So it's gotten in the way of my goals of putting out one episode per week. So yeah, I took the last week off. Apparently I had a really nasty sinus infection, even though I wasn't sick, even though I never had a cold. I never had any allergies, but it felt like the whole right side of my face was trying to escape. It turns out I had, a really nasty sinus infection, and antibiotics are hard on my body. So I had to take some time off to deal with pain and to, just work around how awful antibiotics make me feel. So, thank you for your patience while I deal with illness here. But I'm back today, and I'm doing things drastically different. I'm so organized, typically have a bulleted list of things that I really want to get to. I may even have a story outline. I'm normally used to having a very long list of things in front of me to talk to. And today I'm coming to you with absolutely no plan. Because I've had a series of events over the past week that just kind of led me to believe it's probably best to have a straightforward conversation rather than something that's really maybe too thought out. Sometimes the best information is information in the moment, and so that's what I'm going to be doing. So yes, I've just gotten back from being with my friends this weekend. I had a really lovely birthday party to celebrate one of my besties on Friday, and then I was out with another one of my besties at a winery doing a wine tasting. So part of me is feeling a little bit of the liquid courage right now. So maybe that's it. But I do want to continue on with another handful of episodes that are very foundational to the work that I'm doing here. For the last year and a half or so, I have been diving into very, very nuanced work around patriarchal culture and what aspects of patriarchal culture we live, eat, breathe, sleep within our United Statesian existence. And that foundational piece is really important for me to lay the groundwork in you all getting to hear my story and why I've stepped away from my very secure teaching position to freelance it and build an entrepreneurship, and also to give you the basis of how personal development growth has been supported in my realm through things like intent versus impact and experiencing discomfort, etc., etc. So as we continue on and get into the really nuanced pieces of the work that I've researched and the frameworks that I've built, those foundational pieces are exceptionally helpful. If you are just joining us, or maybe maybe you're not new to this journey, and that there's something that I've stated that just really resonates with you. Great. All about that. Let's find those foundational pieces that help us maintain a sense of openness to grow and move about the planet in the way we need to move about the planet, but does it in a way that is less harmful to each other. So this is another one of those foundational pieces, and it came to me very organically through conversation, like I said, with some of my besties. And it's around this idea of hatred, particularly misandry, which is the hatred of men. And you know, we're living in a very polarized time, and I think we're seeing a lot of hatred towards women for sure, misogyny, right, with rights being stripped from us, and an inability to have autonomy over our own bodies. But that is not reciprocated when it comes to men, right? And so when anybody starts to bring up this conversation around patriarchy, that's an automatic defense mechanism, I think, is, oh, you just hate men. And I want to state the facts here today and really dive into, absolutely, that's not what we're doing. I think women absolutely have the right to hate men. Men are our predators, and we are not safe. Our intimate partners are the most deadly to us. We as women are not safe. We're not safe legally. We're not safe financially. We're not safe romantically. And we have every right to hate men. And yet I think a very large number of us do not. And I can speak for myself because most of my romantic relationships have been based in abuse. Whether it's been sexual abuse, whether it's been emotional abuse, whether it's been financial abuse. I have my significant relationships have been based in that. And it's taken me a long time to come to grips with that. It's taken me a long time to not feel guilty about the fact that, you know, I just make bad choices. No. I mean, yes, in some cases I can say I've made bad choices, but it's not the only reason. We live in an existence that allows men to treat women the way that they feel like they can. There's a level of entitlement there. And as women, we don't have that same level of entitlement when it comes to feeling emotionally and physiologically safe, right? So again, we have every right to hate men, but by and large, I think a huge number of us do not. I still envision myself at some point having a really beautiful, committed relationship with a man. I don't see it happening anytime soon because I'm very sequestered in my life right now, while I'm, you know, trying to rebuild. That doesn't stop the picture that I have in my head of, you know, experiencing the thing that I've never really experienced with a really quality partner. But it brings me to this idea that one of my besties utilizes my frameworks, the stuff that we're going to be going over here real soon. I mean, you can go grab it if you want. It's on my website, movingmaximum.com. He uses my frameworks for a lot of the work that he does in conflict resolution and restorative circles. And we were having a conversation as we were leaving, as I was leaving his birthday party the other day, about how one of the people who was really struggling with the conflict resolution pieces was struggling with the patriarchal culture characteristics, and basically started to throw out, you know, that there was the hatred of men involved in the conversation. And, you know, I can understand why somebody would say something like that, but I also don't think we bring enough attention to patriarchal structures in and of itself for men to be truly comfortable with this conversation in general. And I kind of liken what was happening with this particular situation when white people talk about reverse racism, and how reverse racism does not exist. We can have prejudice against white people for sure, but because whiteness is our dominant culture, Eurocentric, wealthy, white, male, heterosexual, and non-neurodivergency is our standard. It's our quote unquote United Statesian neutral, if you will, right? So to have reverse racism is not necessarily a thing, because when you're dominant culture, you can't be racist towards yourself, right? You can have prejudice, but you can't be racist. And again, I'm speaking as a white person to white people, right? Reverse racism, not a thing. And in the same way that this person brought up misandry, it's similar in the sense that he was bringing it up because he felt targeted as a man, and that the reason why he was being targeted was because he's a man. He's a man in education, elementary education, where there are very few men to begin with, right? So it got me thinking about this idea of hatred towards men. And the idea that if I'm going to bring a framework to the forefront in regard to better understanding patriarchal culture, having more succinct conversation around what those characteristics are, how do we break them down, so that when we're discussing practice and policy, when we're discussing just general nuance of person-to-person interaction, we can really dive deep and say, you know what, this is a level of one-upsmanship that you naturally have as a male in society, because it's acceptable for men to have one-upsmanship, but it's not acceptable for women to have one-upsmanship, for example. And so when we talk about this idea of, reverse patriarchy, or, matriarchy, if you will, but the idea of reversing this so that every time we bring up patriarchy, it's because we hate men. No, we hate the systems that have put into place that are continuously harming us. In the same way, when we talk about racism, we're tired of consistently bashing up against a system that was meant to be this way, right? We all have an opportunity to dismantle, whether it's internally or externally. We have an opportunity to do that. Whether it's white supremacy culture, whether it's patriarchal culture, whether it's capitalism culture, whether it's Eurocentric Christianity culture, we all have a duty to dismantle some aspects of those things within ourselves and to the greater spaces we inhabit within, structures and institutions, right? So thinking about this idea of hatred, I really needed to come here today to state first and foremost, I don't hate men. And this podcast is not going to be about hating men. Now, are we going to slip up, me or a potential guest, and speak to some aspect of men that we hate? Yeah, absolutely. We might slip into kind of girl gossip mode, maybe. We might strike a nerve. We might forget that, there's a microphone on us and we're being really real in that moment. But I assure you that everything that I've done in my research has been to look at the system as it stands, to be able to have conversations about the harm that the system causes, and give pretty succinct examples of how we can dismantle those harms rather than continue to stick hot pokers in a wound, for example. We don't need to exacerbate an issue that already exists. We need to start dismantling. I'm seeing it on the regular, and maybe that's just because I've done so much research and work, and, my socials are flooded with amazing women doing amazing, feminist work out there. Me being the academic that I am, and that is my default, that's where I hide myself, is in that neutral academic world. I have found solitude in the work that I've done because it allows me to look at the things that have harmed me as a woman in the United States, and put pretty succinct nuances into categories so that I can have conversations around patriarchal structures in a new way. I needed that for myself. When we talk about patriarchy as this huge umbrella, we get lost in that, and we don't often have real succinct conversation around what that can look like. So before I go any further with anything else that I'm doing, I need you to know that nothing I've done here is through hatred. It's frustration, sure. There might have been moments of anger, but most importantly, the work that I've done, I have tried so hard to make sure that it comes across in a very succinct, nuanced, and as neutral as I think I could possibly put things when we're talking about a highly charged ideal. Patriarchy is highly charged. Women get upset about it, men get upset about it, but I assure you, from every part of my being, hatred was not a part of this process for me. It was clarity, it was needed, it was nuanced, and it was succinct. So, just putting that out there, making sure that listening to my podcast moving forward, or even if you go back and re-listen to old podcasts, nothing I'm doing is out of hatred. I want to clarify. I want to make the world a better place. I want equity. I want personal equity. I want racial equity. I want gender equity. I want equity in every single possible way that you can think about it, because everybody should be able to live their life the way that they want to or need to, that makes them happy. Without constraints. Without fear. Without medical harm coming to them because they don't have autonomy. I could go on and on here. Misandry is a thing. It will always be a thing. In the same way that we have misogyny, right? My very first podcast was about the balance. I'm here petrifying the patriarchy. I don't want to blow it up. I don't want to I don't want to destroy it, right? I want to dismantle it, but I want to freeze it in place so that our more feminine matriarchal aspects that have genuine value and will support a life that is better for all of us if we allow it, so that matriarchy and patriarchy can be on the same playing field. Just freeze into place for a while. Allow us to catch up. Then we can start to have those conversations. Balance is where it's at. There will always be misandry. There will always be misogyny. But if we can keep it to a minimum, because life is as balanced as we can get it, and then hope that the next generations take on that balance and make it even more so, right? We have got to be doing what we can to lay the groundwork and the foundation so our future generations will have a better life than the ones that we've had. And I definitely feel very strongly about the fact that the work that I'm doing is making my child's life better, and the children that I had in my classroom, their lives are better, and that they carry on that legacy of making things better for everyone instead of power hoarding and greed and, all the things that we're seeing politically right now. So if you need a refresher, go back to episode 1 where I'm talking about balance, because that is the whole goal. Balance, freeze in place, right? And how do we learn if we are all a little bit Medusa, right? And we all have the snakes in our hair, and we all have the ability to turn people to stone. How do we learn to tame that? What processes do we need to have internally to be able to talk to our snakes and go, you know what, maybe now is not the right time for this. Maybe we can have a discussion and figure some things out first before we get angry and turn people to stone. That's the whole point here. We're talking to our snakes. We're figuring out how to best lay that foundational groundwork so that we can create a better environment for all of us, not just some of us. So I hope all of this makes sense. I hope I wasn't too all over the place today without my notes. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. We'll keep it short and sweet today. Hatred, it's not where I'm coming from. Sometimes yes, but most of the time no. I want to exist in life the way that I need to exist so that I can feel joy more often than anger and sadness and grief. I think most people want that. Okay. I'm going to sign off. Until next time, I'm Jo B. This is Petrified the Patriarchy. Check out my website, movingmaxim.com, if you're looking for frameworks or one-on-one time with me for more succinct coaching. If you are looking for a unlearning consultant, I'm also your person. Moving Maxim's the way to get to me. You can find me on all the socials. My children's book, I'm a Proud Little Band book, probably is on sale until September 10th. And I think that's all I got for you today. All right, until next time.